Florida Governor Ron DeSantis crisscrossing through Iowa to kick off his presidential campaign tour, and he's hitting back against the former president, Donald Trump.
He attacked me 3 days before the midterm election, and then he started attacking after that. And so I'm just thinking to myself, you're a Florida resident.
Meantime, the former New Jersey Governor, Chris Christie, expected to officially announce his run for the presidency next Tuesday. He'll make his announcement from New Hampshire. The former ally of President Trump is entering an already crowded Republican primary. That relationship between him and Trump has certainly gotten interesting recently. Christie, as you might remember, previously ran for president in 2016. Joining us now, Emily Brooks, a writer with our partners over at The Hill. Hi there, Emily.
Hello.
Hey, so what do you make of Chris Christie jumping in? And, you know, we know the name, we know the figure, but who is he? I guess is a good place to start.
Well, he is the former governor of New Jersey, but beyond that, he is joining what is shaping up to be a pretty interesting, crowded Republican primary field. Right now, he is polling in the very low single digits, between 0 and 2% in most polls. So he does have, a long ways to go if he's making a serious bid for the White House. But what is interesting about him is that he knows that former President Donald Trump in a way that the other candidates in the Republican primary do not. He's the only one to have previously debated Trump in that 2016 primary on the debate stage. He was also former President Trump's debate strategist in 2020. And so he knows not only what he's like on the debate stage, but more intimately knows his strengths and weaknesses about what that's like to debate. And so that could be a very interesting
Emily,
dynamic in the in the campaign.
You talk about the debates. Chris Christie was known for his debating in 2016 during the primary. I want to play a quick moment from that debate and then get your thought on the other side.
Marco, the thing is this. When you're president of the United States, when you're a governor of a state, the memorized 30-second speech where you talk about how great America is at the end of it doesn't solve one problem for one person. They expect you to plow the snow. They expect you to get the schools open. And when the worst natural disaster in your state's history hits you, they expect you to rebuild their state, which is what I've done. None of that stuff happens on the floor of the United States Senate. It's a fine job. I'm glad you ran for it, but it does not prepare you for president of the United States.
You know, Emily, in that one debate, Chris Christie went after Marco Rubio, but you bring up the point that he's been the only one to be on the debate stage with Donald Trump. If Donald Trump goes onto the debate stages, you think that's kind of what we see Chris Christie's role as?
Perhaps. I mean, there is that big question of what is actually going to happen with these debates, but that is certainly an advantage. I mean, he not only knows President Trump's debate style, but of course, being an advisor for him for those debates, he knows him a little bit more intimately than perhaps some of the other candidates. And so that could be an advantage for him. He's also been a political commentator for a couple years. And so he's very in the know on these issues and thinks about these things a lot. But he does have, as you showed in that clip, that New Jersey sort of brash confrontational style, which is will be an interesting style in this primary.
Yeah, he's a great soundbite for sure. Knows how to do television, no doubt. Let's bring it back here to Washington, Emily, real quick. There's something going on today. It's the debt ceiling and trying to get that passed in the House. Vote later this evening, probably like 8 or 9 Eastern, somewhere around there in the East Coast. There's obviously the intrigue about, does this get passed, which leadership on both sides thinks it will. But what about Kevin McCarthy, the House Speaker? Are we looking at possibly a revolt among Republicans and maybe Kevin McCarthy's job potentially on the line here as the House Speaker?
Well, I am closely tracking that here on Capitol Hill in a little cubby here from Capitol Hill. And Kevin McCarthy definitely needs at least a majority of his House Republican conference to vote for this bill in order to be politically safe. And Democratic Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said that he was expecting Republicans to bring about 2/3 of their conference, which is about 150 members. But we're already hearing more than 24 members. I've lost count now on the Republican side who say they are not supporting this bill. You hear just yesterday, Republican Dan Bishop of North Carolina, a House Freedom Caucus member, say that he thinks that they should call a motion to vacate the chair and force a vote on ousting Speaker McCarthy from his position, which would trigger another kind of speaker's election that we saw back in January if that were to move forward. And so that is a very live issue, although, there are some other Freedom Caucus members saying they're not ready to go there yet. There are allies of McCarthy and McCarthy himself saying that he feels secure. So that real question is really, what is that vote total going to be tonight?
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.